Welcome back. We're continuing the news. The police have intensified their probe into last night's shooting of a 7-month-old girl on Sunlight Street in Kingston. A man has been detained as part of the investigation and a firearm seized. The child who was shot in the head remains in serious condition.
Residents in the area heard a number of gunshots. At the end of the shooting, it was discovered that the baby received a gunshot and was taken to hospital where she was admitted and is currently being treated. I know that because of the area and the lighting, they started processing the scene. I spoke with the investigator earlier, so they are back on the scene this morning to further process the scene and to have a clearer understanding of what transpired.
To other news now, a gang war in sections of Bull Bay St. Andrew is threatening the peace in several communities. At least 9 people have been shot, 2 fatally in recent weeks.
Police and soldiers at what is being described as problem spots in Wees Road, Bull Bay, St. Andrew. Just last Thursday, 5 persons were shot at this shop. 1 died. Residents who didn't want to speak on camera say they're fearful. They pointed to Bobo Hill, a remote section in the community that has reportedly been a safe haven for criminals. But the traditional Rastafarians are separating themselves from the criminals.
Of the Most High God, Jah Rastafari.
Christopher Morant is a priest at Bobo Hill. He acknowledged that the criminals exploit the sanctuary, but he is adamant that they're not part of the war.
We're not here to lie to the media or lie to the world. People come here and get robbed, and people get shot also. You understand? That's why we say it affecting us personally.
And when you have a split in a gang, those persons who operate in this space know this space even more than anybody else. So they know exactly where to operate, where to walk, where to go and take out who they want to take out. So with that caused the increase of crime and violence in this space. So we are here today trying to speak with the residents to get further understanding of what is happening.
Superintendent Tommy Lee Chambers, who is the commanding officer of the East Kingston Police Division, says areas like these are difficult to police. When asked what is the average response time, she says quick. However, the terrain is a problem, but she's hoping that community policing will help narrow that gap. Javon Keys, TVJ News.
Thank you so much, Dwayne, for that report. On to other stories now. Government Minister Darrell Vaz has responded to a stunning revelation by former United States Ambassador Donald Tapia that a wrong was done when his U.S. visa was revoked. The former U.S. Ambassador made the announcement in a media interview on Monday. As Kalisha Williams reports, Mr. Vaz has explained that he holds no malice.
It is quite unusual for a former U.S. ambassador to come out defending a Jamaican politician whose visa was revoked under their watch. But on Monday, former U.S. ambassador to Jamaica Donald Tapia said a wrong was done when West Portland Member of Parliament and Government Minister Darrell Vaz's United States visa was revoked in November 2019. In fact, Mr. Tapia went as far as saying he will be doing the best he can to ensure the wrong is corrected. When we contacted Mr. Tapia for further comments, he told us all the information has been passed on to the U.S. Bureau of Consular Affairs. It is quite unusual for a former U.S. ambassador to come out defending a Jamaican politician whose visa was revoked under their watch. But on Monday, former U.S. ambassador to Jamaica Donald Tapia said a wrong was done when West Portland Member of Parliament and Government Minister Darrell Vaz's United States visa was revoked in November 2019. In fact, Mr. Tapia went as far as saying he will be doing the best he can to ensure the wrong is corrected. When we contacted Mr. Tapia for further comments, he told us all the information has been passed on to the U.S. Bureau of Consular Affairs in Washington, D.C., and he is awaiting a response on how to proceed. As for Mr. Vaz,
I did hear the response from Ambassador Tapia this morning, for which I really respect, because he did not have to do that, and it must have been weighing heavily on him for him to say what he said.
Despite this, Mr. Vaz said he was not surprised by the former ambassador's statement. He told TVJ News that Mr. Tapia called him on Sunday and was literally in tears.
It's a process, it's a courtesy, and I hold no malice.
Mr. Vaz is still without a U.S. visa. However, after it was revoked, he filed an appeal.
I've been hearing from Ambassador Marks in Washington from time to time, but nothing concrete, just in terms of whatever has been happening in relation to the process, but no discussions or guarantee as to whether or not a visa would be returned or reinstated or not. And as I said, it's not something that that you can rush. It's a process, and I understand fully.
However, Mr. Vaz stressed that there are other forces at play which led to his visa being revoked in the first place.
I'm just happy that Ambassador Tapia has supported what I've always said, that there was and is an relentless orchestrated character assassination against me. I've always felt that everything was politically motivated. It was a matter of who, at this particular time, was leading the charge.
Kalisha Williams, TVJ News.
In news back home, residents of Augustown and surrounding communities in St. Andrew are on edge this evening as criminality is again threatening their lives and properties. Several residents staged a protest in the area Sunday to demand an end to the violence. More in this report from Dwayne Anderson.
No more killing! No more killing!
Fearful and frustrated, residents of Hermitage and Augustown made a public stand against the criminality in their communities with a peaceful protest Sunday morning. The message on their placards was clear. They no longer want to live in fear.
We're tired of the killing. We're tired. We're children them afraid to come on the road and play. As my granddaughter here want my shot bus and the bed she run go. She shake, she shiver, she peep up herself. We're tired of it. We want back the community. My beg youth them put on them gun. Pull on them gun and take up one Bible. And go and find a church and go. And praise God. Give God the praise. They might take life and then can't give life.
Our children, we don't want our kids to grow up in a violence-torn community anymore. And we want our elderly citizens can retire in peace, right? And enjoy the fruits of their labor. So all of us are here this morning, to send a message, and we're not going to stop.
The police kept watch on the protesters. The security forces and other agents of the state have maintained a fixed presence in Augustown since last year when a zone of special operation was declared in the community.
The criminals would have studied how it is that they work at the checkpoints, so they are now able to manipulate that. So they'll see when there is no vehicle at a checkpoint. They know when they change the shift, when they're changing over the staff, and so they're able to manipulate that and go at different points to do killing.
With criminals trying to outsmart the security forces, residents accept they will have to do their part to get long-lasting peace.
It's not going to just take the police alone or the soldiers. It's going to take everybody, all the different CBOs that we have. The church have to come out and support us. Yes. Everybody has to come on board. And at this point with where we are, because we're seeing innocent people dying, it has to be everybody. It's everybody's business now. So if you're a resident here, if you do business here, if you visit here, it's going to take everybody to come on board to end the violence that is happening. We have to talk up. We have to help the police get the guns. We have to reinstate trust with both the police and the citizens.
Reports are that a man of unsound mind was shot and killed in Goldsmith Villa last night, and the property where he was located set ablaze. It's the latest in a series of shootings in the area that has left residents on edge. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
In this evening's edition of the Health Report, we look at antibodies and COVID-19. Shamela Pullen reports.
Antibodies are proteins created by your immune system. This helps to fight off infections. These antibodies are made after you have been infected or have been vaccinated against an infection like COVID-19. But not everyone who gets COVID-19 will develop adequate antibodies for this level of protection.
It varies for different infections. So there are some SARS infections where antibodies will be there for a year, 2 years. whereas others will be present for a shorter period of time. At the moment, the feeling is that most persons will have antibodies for at least 6 months after getting exposed to COVID. And it's just because it's a new virus that we just don't have all the answers just yet.
And this is a challenge for some recovered COVID-19 patients who want to help others who are critically ill.
Some of the successes that have made this very encouraging for us include being able to discharge persons from hospital in as little as 3 to 5 days after receiving plasma. We've had persons that we could remove from the intensive care unit to go on a regular ward because they no longer have virus when we test them after getting their convalescent plasma. So that has certainly been encouraging.
And even if persons have antibodies after contracting COVID-19, Dr. Worf says persons should still protect themselves by following the guidelines.
So you may have been exposed to somebody with the virus is sitting there, and if you have a vulnerable person, like an elderly person or somebody who is at high risk of having severe disease, you may be able to pass on that infection to them. So the protective things still need to take place, even if you had previously been exposed and have had antibodies or a T-cell response.
As it relates to plasma donation, if you don't have adequate antibodies, Dr. Worf is encouraging persons to give blood for other causes. With your health report, I'm Shamela Pullen wishing you good health.